It's a weak start to the week on the Dalal Street. The sensex and nifty end almost 0.5% lower even after some recovery in the last hour of trade. The broader markets outperform. Realty stocks surge while metals drag.
Real estate stocks see a sharp gain in today's trading session with the index up nearly 3%. UBS tells CNBC TV18 the Indian property cycle and the realty sector valuations are far from reaching their peaks. Separately, Avendus Spark upgrades Oberoi Realty to a buy from a sell, and they've raised their target price to 2,700 rupees from around 1,600 rupees earlier.
Wockhardt surges after the successful use of the drug Xenic that was used to treat a cancer patient in the US. Aurobindo Pharma buzzes after its subsidiary receives a nod from a European agency for a drug. Meanwhile, Dixon Tech surges. The company's formed a joint venture with Vivo India to undertake OEM business of electronic devices, including smartphones.
Hello and welcome to Markets Forward, your go-to show where we get you up to date with regard to today's trading action, and we'll gear you up for tomorrow's session as well. I'm Nigel, and with me is Rima. Hey Rima, good trading session actually.
A very good trading session. We'll be with our viewers for the next 20 minutes with all the big news, the corporate voices, what to watch. But it's when you look at the frontline indices, it's actually down close to about 0.4, 0.5%, but it's still a good day because of the way the broader markets perform.
Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of viewers who didn't track the markets during the day, they'll be saying, what are these guys talking about?
It's not a good day, right?
The Nifty was down 100 points. But the reason we're saying it's a good trading session is because the mid-cap index, that did a relative outperformance. On the day the Nifty was down 100 points, the mid-cap index, in fact, was up close to around 0.5%. In the near term, it appears the Nifty is in a bit of a range, 24,400 to around 25,000 odd. But there's plenty of action in the broader markets, and they are extremely buoyant. There are sectors, there are stocks that are moving around. Let's start off with what didn't do well, though, today. The IT index has seen a good run, but now getting into the quarter three numbers, it appears there is some money being taken off the table because the street is clearly factoring in better times for the tech index. But in case there is any kind of disappointment, it seems that index is coming for profit taking. The metal index as well. Now, that's done pretty, very well on hopes that China is going to recover. But however, some data points that are coming in, they're still suggesting softness on ground. And that's why that index was the biggest loser, down close to 100%. Let's get to better times then. The realty index, that was very, very well. The UBS view is that there will be better times for the real estate sector, at least for the next 3 years or so. And a couple of brokerage reports that came in, namely Avendus Spark as well, who are quite bullish on Oberoi Realty. And look at the top gainers here. Oberoi, Prestige, Macrotech, all of them did well. The other pocket of strength was the EMS players. Dixon Technologies, they've got a new agreement going. So that, stock was up and about. But it had a good rub-off effect because it wasn't just Dixon. You had Keynes that did pretty well. PG Electroplast as well that was up and about. And these stocks moved on rather large volumes. A couple of other gainers. Swiggy is swigging it away. Well, limited float could be playing out here. A couple of brokerages quite positive on the stock, but Swiggy was the top mover from the broader markets, and Wockhardt as well. Some positive news flow. So a good trading session, Rima, though the headline index was down 100 points.
In fact, the entire new age tech companies did well. So Zomato was up close to about 2%. You had gains in Nykaa, Paytm. Share prices also hit a 3-year high. But as promised, let's tell you what we have for you on our show today. First, the top movers and shakers of the day with Vivek. The sector of the day was realty, and the stocks in focus include Wockhardt, Aurobindo Pharma, Dixon. We'll tell you the key reasons why these stocks were buzzing today. And then finally, we'll end the show with the big events to watch tomorrow. But it's over to Vivek now. He's at the big wall with the top stock movers of the day.
Well, thank you so much for that. Like you mentioned, it was the broader end of the markets that did quite well. So actually, the market bid was quite in favor of the bulls. Now, talking about the sectors, I'm going to be repeating myself given the fact that it was the realty pack that did very well. And just have a look at some of the stocks on the screen. Oberoi Realty, Suntech, Prestige, Macrotech, even names like DLF, etc. did very well in the session. Clearly, the sector of the day was the realty pack. One stock as far as the EMS space was concerned was Dixon. went ahead and announced a JV with Vivo, stock high by almost 5%. This particular stock well above the 18,800 mark. The other stock on the radar was Spark or Sun Pharma Advanced. The company has announced an analyst meet later this particular week, and they're going to be having a call. Behind that, there has been almost an 8% up move, but it'll be important to see what exactly is the data that the management is sharing with the analyst community. Avanti Feeds, remember, the entire shrimp pack today was doing quite well. Avanti Feeds, as far as the NSE 500 was concerned, one of the top gainers. And lastly, Wockhardt, again, some positive news flow, some positive data coming in from one of the key drugs. That particular stock up almost 10% in the session today. On the other hand, what is it that actually lagged? The entire metal pack today, saw quite a bit of weakness. A lot of the names like Nalco down almost 10-12% in the last 4-5 trading sessions, JSPL, etc. All of these names did see some weakness. Titan, top laggard as far as the Nifty was concerned. And along with that, like you mentioned at the start of the show, the entire IT pack today didn't see too much of selling pressure, but the entire pack did see some profit booking emerge. So to top off some of the laggards, the IT pack was the one that did see some weakness today.
Thanks, Vivek, for that neat wrap. Well, let's welcome our guests. We have Anand Tandon, the market expert who's helping us with the fundamentals. And also we have Jay Thakkar, head of Derivative and Quant Research at ICICI Securities. Hi, gentlemen. Thanks a lot for joining in. Well, Jay, you tell us, it appears the headline index is in a bit of a consolidatory mode. But would you lean to an upward bias? Maybe we'll have a bit of a melt up towards the end of the year. If yes, what are the levels you're looking at on the Nifty?
Hi, good afternoon to you, Nigel and Reema. Well, as far as, I would say, Nigel, the implied volatility or the India VIX has gone up today. It was up by more than 10% in today's trading session. And the kind of move which we had seen in the last trading session on Friday, when the markets or Nifty was down to 24,200, and from there on it recovered and almost closed high at the highest point of this recovery. Right, so this kind of a volatility is what we are seeing, and I think that would continue at least until the budget sessions. We have a couple of events lined up this week, like FOMC meet, and thereafter in Jan we have the president-elect taking over on 20th Jan, and thereafter we have the budget as well. So these are the couple of events going forward, and then in fact probably again we'll be having our MPC meeting wherein we are expecting a rate cut as well, right? So these are the events going forward which would keep the volatility higher. So I think that the traders will get the opportunity on both the sides. But as far as the Nifty is concerned, I think that on the upside, slowly and gradually, we will see Nifty inching towards the levels of 25,000 to 25,200. Hopefully, this by the end of this calendar year. But then, at least for as far as this weekly expiry is concerned, then 24,800 to 25,000. That's the clear resistance for this week, at least. But on the lower side, I would say that I think there has been a smart recovery from 24,200 levels as well. So that's going to be the range for this week. But going forward, we would see index slowly and gradually inching higher. There has been a good support from the Nifty IT and the BFSI segment. So I think that would also keep continuing support for the Nifty at the lower levels. And Bank Nifty once takes off 54,000. Then it's heading towards this lifetime high of 54,500 as well. So I think these are the sectors which would have the index moving higher. It's just the oil and gas sector which has weighed some pressure on the index so far, Nigel. If we see a good recovery coming back in Reliance, then I think the probability of Nifty moving higher even earlier is quite likely. So 25,200 is our technical target as well going forward.
Okay, let's get to the sector of the day, and undoubtedly it was real estate. The real estate index closed with a gain of about 3%, and across the board, you had big gains. Stocks like Puravankara, Prestige Estates, Macrotech developers, all surging in trade. But Oberoi Realty was one of the big movers, and this is on the back of an upgrade coming through from Avendus Spark. Sonal is here for more.
Well, there's a very bullish note coming in from Avendus Spark on Oberoi Realty, and that's why that pop on the stock today. They have upgraded the stock to a buy from a sell, and there's a massive increase in the target price as well to 2,700 from 1,600 earlier. They say the stock is offering a blend of safety and growth as well at current levels, and this is supported by robust cash flows and balance sheet strength as well, which they are seeing in the real estate player. There has been underperformance over the last 3 years. That is because there were no big new launches that the company had, and also because the pre-sales were quite steady and not seeing a lot of growth for the company overall. But now they are expected to touch levels of 10,000 crore rupees by FY27, which is currently at around 4,000 crore rupees, so more than double in next 3 financial years itself. FY25 especially is an inflection year for the company, driven by the start of its new launch cycle and multiple projects lined up as well. There's some in Thane, and they have spoken about new project launches across different geographies as well. In fact, in the annuity segment as well, there are two important projects which will commence operations. That will start flowing to the P&L as well. And that is something that Aurobindo Pharma is very bullish on. They expect Oberoi now to outperform the top-tier listed peers with 3 times growth in launches and pre-sales. And that is what is making them very bullish on the stock.
Thanks a lot for that, Sonal. Well, staying with the realty space itself, Gautam Chowchari of UBS Securities India believes that valuations in this sector is nowhere near peak levels, and that's why they're optimistic about the prospects. Let's hear him out.
On all the metrics, Indian property cycle is far away from reaching its peak. This is at the fundamental level. Now let's look at the stocks. Without mentioning individual stocks, even at the sector level, we are nowhere near peak in terms of where the valuations historically have gone to, or even globally where we see property is a very deeply cyclical sector and there are accounting variances. But even then, what's the delta from bottom to an upcycle in terms of multiples? Indian property sector has a lot of legs left to go.
Anything else from the listed, sort of large listed space, lots of plays which you think?
So utilities in the renewable space, we remain positive. Then we are more cautious around autos and consumer discretionary. This is on the cautious side, which also we've been sticking to and still maintaining that view. We still haven't seen any signs of changing our view on that space.
Anand, two bullish views coming through on real estate. One is Avendus, where on Oberoi they're saying the company is at an inflection point, and even UBS sounding bullish. Your thoughts?
Well, the cycle is still positive. However, in my view, it is such a it's such a localized sector that you have to look at each city and each developer separately. I mean, for example, the city I stay in, I think we've pretty much hit the peak, and from here on, the prices have already started to soften. As more inventory comes through, you expect to see the prices coming down, and that will affect the economics of the business. In Bombay also, I think, you are looking at a multi-year cycle that has already been witnessed. No doubt anyone who's launching today will be able to do a reasonable amount of bookings. But by the time it is ready, you will have a bit of an issue. Today, most of Bombay, for example, is going through redevelopment. And I would imagine that over a 2-year period, the inventory supply that will be coming into the market will be very large. So while you may be buying now on the basis of a projected price hike, you have to look at where the price can be a couple of years down the road when the supply hits. Right now, there is no doubt a shortage, and therefore demand will probably be met with higher and rising prices. Similarly, for most of the markets, I would imagine that, because the capital markets have been good, that's provided a trigger for large, big ticket purchases, and that is usually the case. The good rising capital market increases the demand for property. We think we are seeing that as well. But, it's in my view, a fairly mature part of the cycle. It's not as if it's just about starting out. So you have to be a little selective about which ones you are going to be buying.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot for that, Anand. Well, let's get to Wockhardt then. That's the stock in focus on the back of a successful use of a drug that was used to treat a cancer patient in the US. Vinny joins us to fill us in with more details. Vinny, a big mover today, Wockhardt.
Absolutely a big mover, Nigel, in terms for Wockhardt. But this drug has been an important one for Wockhardt when you look at it. Because the first time they spoke about this cancer drug, we had started seeing the stock seeing an up move. This is an important drug and solely an important drug that the company depends on. Now, the successful use of the Zynic drug, and this is as of now, they've been used on 45 patients that have benefited under the compassionate use of this drug. So big positive news coming in on this front that they've successfully used this drug is something everyone was watching out for, because this drug is under the phase 3 trial as of now for marketing authorization as well as global registration. So this move indicates a positive sign coming in on that front, and that is why Wockhardt was passing in trade.
And Aurobindo Pharma too, Vinny, that was higher today after its subsidiary received a nod from the European agency over a drug. Give us more details about this drug and what it means for the company.
So absolutely, this was a smaller drug, but it's a positive news. Why? Because it is on the biosimilar front for Aurobindo Pharma. So its arm, that was Curatech, has gotten this European body's nod for this biosimilar drug. Now they've received a positive opinion from the CHMP of the European Medicines Agency, and this is for the drug Zephyllity, which is a biosimilar drug. They have 2 more drugs also which are under review and will receive hopefully a positive opinion coming in on that front from the EMA as well. So that is what they are hoping for. Now, Goldman Sachs also highlighted that this is a positive development for the company because it is indicating that the company's ability to monetize on the biosimilar drugs front and on the biosimilar portfolio, where they've been investing a lot in the last couple of years, almost $400 million in terms of investments they made in the last few years. So will be interesting to watch out for, and that is why a positive up move there.
Jay, the chart, what does it tell you about Aurobindo Pharma and Wockhardt?
Sure, Rima. See, as far as Wockhardt is concerned, that's a non-FNO stock. So I would just like to comment there that, the overall trend has been positive so far, and the kind of breakout which we have seen, it can help the stock to inch towards 1650 initially in the short term and thereafter 1950. However, I would say that we don't have a recommendation on this as of now. But the trend is positive, hence 1650, 1950 looks likely going forward. But as far as Aurobindo Pharma is concerned, yes, that's into the FNO category. And interestingly, the data out here is quite interesting, Rima. What we have seen is, we saw a rally on this stock right from 1000 levels until, say, 15 to 1600, wherein there was clear long liquidation. So, prior to that, there was multiple, long positions formed there. But thereafter, there was a clear long liquidation. So we saw, because of which the correction in the stock coming from 1500 to 1200 again. In that, we have seen short build-up as well in this stock. Now, with the last trading sessions recovery, the kind of hammer candlestick pattern has been formed, which is a bullish reversal pattern. I'm expecting some short covering happening out here, which can help the stock to bounce back at least in the short term until the levels of 1350 to 1400. So the risk reward is favorable for the short-term trading bounce from the short covering angle. 1200 should be the stop loss until those levels are held. 1350 to 1400 levels can be seen going forward.
Hey, all right, got that. Thanks for that, Jay. Well, I'm going to come across to Anand and ask him what he likes, either from the EMS or from the pharma space. And we're talking about EMS because Dixon Technology searched and trade after entering into a binding term sheet for proposed JV to undertake OEM business with, which will enhance their smartphone business. Upasana joins in to fill us in with more on that. Upasana?
Well, Dixon Technology, the stock remained in focus today as Dixon and Vivo India entered into a binding term sheet for a proposed joint venture to undertake OEM business of electronic devices, including smartphones. Now, the company has indicated that Dixon will hold 51% of the share capital, while Vivo India will hold around 49% in the proposed joint venture entity. The facility will undertake part of Vivo India's OEM orders of smartphones in India and will also engage in OEM business of other brands across various electronic products. Now, company has started manufacturing of mobile phones in 2016 and established a strong market presence when it comes to Dixon. In recent quarters, the company has added significant clients to its mobile books such as Nokia, Xiaomi, Samsung, Oppo, Motorola and various others. Now, let us look at the agreements entered by the company earlier this month. Now, mind you that in the start of the month, Dixon had also announced that it has launched mass production of Google Pixel smartphones, and company's wholly owned subsidiary, that is Paget Electronics, had entered into a contract manufacturing agreement with Compal for manufacturing of mobile phones, and the commercial production for the same has been started at the company's Noida unit. Now, lastly, let us look at the management commentary and the guidance given by the company. Now, company expects its margins to improve by 100 and 120 basis points over the next 24 to 28 months, driven mainly by the mobile component manufacturing. And it is also targeting a revenue of around 35,000 to 40,000 crore for FY25, and it expects the mobile segment contribution to the business to reduce to 60 to 65% from 70% currently by 2025-2026. So all in all, we are seeing Dixon in focus today on the back of this news flow, and it's venturing into further the mobile segment of the company.
Got it. Thanks for that, Upasana. Anand, wanted your closing comments. Anything you like from pharma or EMS?
So two quick comments. One is Wockhardt has not made a cancer drug. It has made an antibiotic which goes after superbugs. And therefore, it's an interesting development because superbugs have no treatment as of today. And they have right now 6 candidates in the pipeline, which is quite interesting. The more usual business for business as usual would be an Aurobindo, which you discussed right now, because that is more about monetizing the pipeline of drugs they already have. And they are probably one of the cheapest in the market. They have been slightly patchy in their performance, but that is the way it is. When you come to EMS, remember that mobile phones have an operating margin of less than 4%. And the subsidy that you are getting from the government is of the order of 6% in the first year, going down to about 4%. So for the next few years, till they are able to get into the components business of the mobile phones, most of the money that they will be making on mobile phones will be on account of the subsidy, which to me is a somewhat low PE business. The market, of course, doesn't care right now because they are looking at top line, but that would be a caveat that I would like to put in front.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining in, Anand as well as Jay, and Anand for clarifying and explaining in a little more detail about the pharma developments. Get into a break. On the other side, top corporate voices and the big events to watch tomorrow. Welcome back. Let's take a look at the top corporate voices of the day. So Astra Micro, the stock gain closed about 2%. The management said they see potential to receive large orders, which will result in the company holding on to its order inflow guidance of 1,200 crore plus. They also said that the company's profit could scale up to 400 to 500 crore rupees in the coming years.
Well, and Chola Finance was another stock. It rallied close to around 3% by the time we wound up. However, they expect a decline in asset quality in the second half of next fiscal. The company also told us that the commercial vehicle segment may not see large growth as earlier expected. Well, before we wind down on the show, let's bring you some key market events that you need to track. Vinny joins us to help us out with that list. Vinny?
So absolutely, tomorrow what we're watching out for on the global front, there's a lot of action that one may see happening. One, in the US, you'll watch out for the retail sales. FOMC meeting, that starts tomorrow. So 17th and 18th of December, let's watch out for that. The decision will be on 18th of December. Industrial production data in the US also is something that we're keeping an eye out on. Now, in the UK, jobless claims data, that's what one is watching out for, as well as the unemployment rate, an important data point from the UK. Domestic front, not much of a corporate action that we're seeing coming in, but we do have IGI, which is the IPO, will be closing tomorrow. So yes, last day to subscribe for the IPO. And also we have in other news flow that the UP government will be presenting its second supplementary budget tomorrow. So keep an eye out on that.
Thanks for that, Vinny. Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Markets Forward. We'll be back with more news and updates on the other side. Thanks a lot for watching.